Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I love the hair.
I don't know. It's very 80s prom.
Those lines, I don't know what.
You
Doesn't.
look great.
Oh,
I
thank
did put a little makeup on. Hey.
you. So did
Yeah.
I.
Well, you saw the bangs are like down to here, so I was like, that's not gonna work. And I was like, I don't know if it's just samurai bun alone. It's very, I don't know. So here I
I'm,
am. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you? How's
I'm
things on
good.
the coast?
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, we got some sun in New York finally.
Yeah? Oh,
Oh,
good.
it's still freezing. I mean, not freezing, but it's pretty cold. But
Yeah. Yeah, it looks bright where you are.
I know I don't know if the lighting is right. Bobby Brown told me the other day not
I
to.
watched a little bit and I saw her like totally slapping her hand and being like, "Well, you have the light behind you. Like, what do you do?" And then it was like 5 minutes of you trying to find her. I was like, "Oh,
Whatever. Whatever.
whatever." I mean, she's a makeup artist. Will do her thing.
She knows. She knows better than I
She
do.
does know. She does know. But I'm just like, what's great about the quarantine for me is that I get to be in bed. Here I am in my bed. That's
Well, I
my
got
dream
out
is
of
to
bed.
do everything from my bed. Well, that sounded a little creepy, but you know what I mean. But I'm just like by the, window. And
Oh,
it's like kind
somebody
of
said you
overcast.
both look gorgeous. That's so nice. I don't know who that was.
Aww. Been watching a lot of Dragnificent, so I was like, I need to put makeup on. Hey.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a drag show. Like these
Ah,
drag queens, like how, I don't know. It makes me cry. That just shows you how like unstable I am right now.
okay. Oh, Lord. Okay. All right. So let's wait. Should we wait another? We'll wait another 2 minutes.
Sure, you're the boss.
Love watching you, cousin, and always love hearing authors. That's my cousin.
Aww,
Carol. Hi, Carol.
Carol.
She's an author of children's books, so I don't know.
Nice.
Little
Uh,
different.
yeah, a little different than my book.
Little different from your book, which we will talk about. Just a little bit different. Um, okay. All right. Should we get started? Let's see. Hold on.
Aw, Ivana says I'm an interplanetary goddess. Wow.
I don't know what that
That's
means.
how I got connected with you guys.
What I know through Ivana. Oh, I
Yeah.
haven't
So thank
seen you.
you. Thank you,
Oh, there's
Ivana.
Chris.
And
Chris
there's
has joined.
Chris.
Hey, Chris.
He's like, oh, I have to see what she has to say.
He already knows what you have to say. I don't think he needs to hear it, but he probably knows.
Oh, love you, Ivana. Hi, Chris.
Okay. All right. I think we should get started, and if people join, they join. They'll figure
Oh,
it
I
out.
could miss this. Oh, God.
Who, Chris?
Yeah, that's what he said. Couldn't miss this. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
I can be well behaved, Chris. You'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Don't be too well behaved. It'll be boring. We don't want you to be too well
Then it
behaved.
won't be me, right?
It won't be you.
Oh, this
Okay.
80s hair.
Oh,
Go.
stop.
Okay.
It looks fine. Looks
Come to the prom with me, Eve.
fine. Yeah, I have like my little like I don't know what you call this, like a whatever. It's doing what it's doing now. It's not what it normally looks like, but it's all good.
No? Well, okay. I wouldn't know. I think it looks great. So,
Why? We're old friends. Why wouldn't you know?
all
Yeah.
right.
All right.
Talk to me.
Okay. Let's get started. Okay. So just for anybody who doesn't know who I am or who you are, I'm going to do a little intro.
Hmm.
So I'm Eve Goldberg, and I founded the nonprofit Big Vision. We work with young adults in recovery in New York City, helping them sustain their recovery post-treatment. We do a lot of events, normally in person, but now it's become virtual. So we have a lot of virtual events that are being offered, and I invite everybody to check out the website and our social media so you can see what's going on. I founded Big Vision after I lost my incredibly incredible, beautiful son Isaac when he was 23 23 years old. I lost him to an accident, drug overdose. And I recognize that recovery is just not, it's not one, getting sober is not one size fits all, as we know. And there's just so many different ways that somebody can go about it. And a lot of people out there think, who don't really get it like we do in different ways, people think that, oh, you go to treatment 28 days and you're sober, you come out.
Yeah.
Right.
If it
You
was only
come
that
out
easy. I
good.
only went to treatment 7 times. Yeah, it worked great the first time.
Right. So, but some people can go once and it can actually work if they
I
go to the
don't, those are
right
freaks of nature. I don't know who those people
place.
are.
There are
But, you
some out.
know, like you said, support after is that's the key, is having a supportive community after, because it's easy to stay sober when you're in, you know, an enclosed environment and, you know, shut down. But it's like when you get back in the real world, that's when the struggle is. And that's when you need the supports, which is so great why that you created what you created, you know,
That is why I
and
created
that
it.
you gave meaning to your son's life.
Right, because for Isaac, one of his great struggles was really figuring out what to do when he was sitting at home and couldn't hang out with his old friends and just, you know,
Yeah.
didn't know how to have fun again, didn't know how to have fun
Yeah.
without. I mean, I went back. His friends all said, "Oh yeah, we're going to send you videos. We have all these great videos." Isaac, he was so funny. He used to rap. He used to do all these things.
Mm.
Every one of those videos you could imagine, I would look at and I'm like, he's wasted. I'm like,
Oh,
I don't want to look at that. And I'm certainly not going
oh.
to share that. It made me really sad, you know?
Yeah, I bet.
But anyway, so coming to you, Amy. So I was introduced to you by Ivana. Thank you, Ivana. And yeah, and I immediately went and bought your book. Here it is. Can't show you the real cover, but
Uh,
on iPad, that's it. And I, as I said to you, I appreciate the fact that it was 250 pages and not 700 pages.
hey, I know how to write for addicts and people with
Right?
short, you know, it's like,
And it was
even though
very,
you're not an addict, I mean, you know, people don't want to read a 600-page book. I mean, RIP, you know, David Foster Wallace, but come on.
you're right. I mean, and it was great. I mean, it is raw and honest, and you say it like it is, which I really appreciate.
Thank
And
you.
I am gonna, and I know, so it's called My Fair Junkie, your book, and I know you're also a journalist. You're a former comedian, stand-up comedian, and obviously an author and a recovering addict and alcoholic.
Correct.
I believe you have
Correct.
7 years now, which is fantastic. Good for
Thank
you.
you.
And they're hopefully making your book into a TV series, which would be
We're
very,
working on it.
that's very exciting.
Yeah.
So I want to just start by, as I looked at your book, the very first thing, this page here, it says, for anybody who thinks it's too late. So
God, I'm going to cry. Yeah.
what do you mean? Tell me what that means. Why was that the only thing written on that page?
Because I think a lot of people think that they are too old or they've relapsed too many times or it's not worth it and they can't get it. And I just, you know, I got sober the first time at 25 and then the last time at 42, 43 years old and, you know, had stints of recovery in between. And I just wanted people to know it's just never too late to get it. It's never too late to start your life over, to get sober and pursue your dreams, you know, which is what I got to do. And so I just wanted people to know. I think a lot of people feel that way when they've relapsed a lot or struggling or, you know, they just feel like, why bother?
Right,
It's too late for me
right.
to do anything with my life. And I just felt like that was a really important message that I wanted to get across. And it was a message I was saying to myself too, you know, at that time.
I think it's an amazing message, actually.
Thank you.
And like I said to you when I spoke to you the first time when you and I had a conversation, I said, I read your book and I'm like, how are you alive? You know,
A
like
lot
that.
of people wonder that. A lot of people have like actually talked to me on Instagram. They're like, I know you're alive because I'm talking to you, but like, I can't believe you're alive. Like, and I was just like, I, I'm just lucky. I don't know. You know, maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. Genetics, I'm not really sure. I shouldn't be here. I think I'm here to to do work and spread a message and help other people. That's the only thing that I can really, and I just think that it's just like unlucky. And, the Dresners are weirdly hardy. My father's 82 going through chemo, and we're just like, these desert Jews that just nothing kills us. We're miserable forever. I mean, we live into our 90s. I mean, we're totally crazy, but like we live forever. But I mean, I do have epilepsy. I do give myself some serious damage through crystal meth, and I've had epilepsy for
That's
God, 15. Huh?
that's how you became epileptic
Yeah.
from doing drugs.
Yeah.
Ah, I just should have known that from reading the book, but I kind of thought that.
Elton John too, also. Yeah. It's not super common, but it does happen. Yeah.
Wow, no, you have been through a lot, and I guess what you said is true. You God kept you here. I don't know whether we want to talk about God or believe in God, whatever, but there is a reason why you're still here, that you can tell your story and hopefully inspire other people. Because when I read it, and I was like, I was inspired. I thought it was
Thank you.
pretty amazing that you were able to tell your story in that way. I mean, it's kind of a crazy story. I don't need to.
No, it's horrible. I mean, 25 years of horror. I mean, it's totally crazy. I mean, I just did everything self-destructive that you can do. I mean, my poor parents, can you imagine? And
But
they
you
stuck
started
by me.
when you were a kid. When you were a kid, you were kind of a
I
quote
was a
unquote.
total straight A student and like a good girl and like a purist. And yeah, I mean, I didn't sort of go off the rails until, I drank at 19, but I didn't get into like hard drugs until like in my, till 24. And then it was just like all downhill.
And
As
what?
soon as I found it, I was like, oh, I feel normal. And I think that that's something that we really need to look at is the genetics and the brain chemistry of addicts. You know what I mean? And that's something I've been really looking into a lot with my journalism. And it's like, our brain chemistry is for a lot of us not correct, whether that's from genetics or from trauma. It doesn't really matter. But for me, when I found crystal meth, I felt normal. And who doesn't want to feel normal? You know what I mean? So, and then later I got into shooting coke and stuff like that, which is so like old school. Like who shoots cocaine on its own? Like just with epilepsy. Yay, good call, right? And having seizures, but wearing a bike helmet because that made sense because I didn't want to crack my head open, but I didn't want to get sober, so I was going to wear a bike helmet while I shot cocaine, which makes sense to all drug addicts and alcohol. They're like, of course, that's brilliant. But it's insanity. Looking back, I'm like, hi, that's insane.
Right. So do you believe that it was like that your brain chemistry, that you were just like, even though as a kid you were straight A
But
student,
I was
think
always
you were
depressed
just
as a
destined
kid.
to kind of be that way? You were what?
I was always depressed as a
Oh,
kid. I always felt weird. I felt weird before I ever picked up. I had an eating disorder before I ever got into drugs. There's an enormous amount of depression and addiction in my family. I mean, I tested positive for, there's a genetic mutation called MTHFR, which is, and a lot of addicts have it, and it's basically a mutation in the enzyme that breaks down folic acid in green vegetables into L-methylfolate, which is the building block of dopamine and serotonin. So we can't make enough dopamine and serotonin. So you can get tested for that. You can take a supplement, and I do, and it helps. It's not like the cure-all by any means, but that just shows you there's a huge genetic component. We're different. I didn't feel normal. I didn't feel okay. I wasn't happy.
yeah.
And I had everything.
Isaac was like that also. When Isaac was a kid, he never felt comfortable in his own skin. From
That's a
when
very common story you hear. You know what I mean? From all addicts. They just felt weird and uncomfortable and sort of depressed and before. And so I think that, a lot of this is self-medication.
oh, without a doubt. I mean, he was, you know, cute and athletic and was
Doesn't matter.
funny. You know what I'm saying? And it, like all these
Yeah.
things like going for him, but he never loved himself, which was
Yes.
obviously
I identify with that.
right. And he always had these like, these sort of mental health issues. And the first time he actually smoked pot, he came to me and he said, "I'm never doing it again." He said, "I didn't like it. I felt paranoid," and I thought, I thought that was great. I thought I'd never have to worry about him, and here you go.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. But then I have to think that losing him led me to
I'm so
start.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I mean it's.
You have me now.
I have you now. I have an addict in my life. So let's talk about the title of your book, because everybody today is so politically correct.
Oh,
Substance
I got a
use
little
disorder.
pushback for that.
They
Yeah.
do.
hmm it's a play on My Fair Lady because it's
I
a
get it.
Pygmalion story and it's sort of like, the transformation and all that kind of stuff. Uh, my book came out originally in 2017 before the whole like substance abuse
Right.
disorder thing
Right.
really took hold. I don't think that even if it had, it would have changed my mind about how I would have named the book. I haven't heard, I've been in and out of, AA for 25 years in treatment, and I've never heard someone say, "Hi, I'm, Stephen, and I have substance use disorder." Like, never, ever in my life have I ever. And I think that sounds less, I understand that they think changing the rhetoric will change the stigma, and I absolutely disagree with that. I really do. I think that, Dr. Wetzman, who told me about the MTHFR thing, said, if you said to someone, "Hey, well, I'm so sorry, David, that my brother, stole your car and screwed your sister and, blah, blah, blah. He has substance use disorder." The guy's like, "I don't care. It's our actions and behaviors, you
Right.
know." And so I don't think putting on a shiny moniker is the answer. I think that I looked at this sort of African American culture and also the gay culture and how they took words that were used against them and owned them and took them back. And
Right.
that's what I was interested in doing, was taking it back. And and that for me really reminds me not only where I came from, but that it's okay that I was a junkie and that I'm not ashamed. So, but I did get pushback. I think that substance use disorder is terrific for insurance companies.
Right. No, I know, but I agree with you. But it's like we're all, first it was substance abuse disorder. Now we had to take abuse off. Now it became substance use disorder.
I
And,
mean,
uh,
it sounds more treatable and it sounds less serious to me. And again, I don't think it's the words that create the stigma. I think it is our behavior, and I think that the way we change that is by recovering out loud and showing people that we do recover. I think
right,
that's it.
right.
I don't
Now,
think changing the word it changes things.
I don't
But
know.
that's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Right. So now your family was very supportive of you throughout this, correct?
Correct.
How did they do it? I mean,
They
how?
took breaks. I mean, well, I say it in the book. My mother, is a recovering alcoholic. And so she just thought, well, if I can do it, oh, I'm sorry, my earphone just fell out. Um, that my mother thought, well, if I can do it, she can do it.
Right.
And my father just, was almost, egotism. He just thought, this is my kid. My kid's going to be okay. And also, he was a writer, and he's just like, this is so cliche. It can't be true. It's just it's like a bad movie. Like,
Right.
this can't really be real. They just always believed that I would be okay. And they just kept throwing me into treatment. And, there was definitely times where my father wouldn't speak to me. He's just like, I need a break.
Yeah.
Like, this is emotionally and financially draining. And, like, I
Right.
can't, there's a line in the book where he's just like, I'm really tired of this. And I said, tired of what? And he said, tired of you at the bottom of the well.
Mm.
And I thought, ooh.
It's
I
exhausting.
mean, hmm?
It's exhausting. It's
Oh,
exhausting.
I can't even imagine, I can't even imagine,
I didn't have 25 years of it, but it was exhausting. I mean, I would obviously take Isaac back in a second with all of the, anxiety and everything, that
Yeah.
went along with it. But it's very, very difficult to deal with a child, a teenager, a young adult, whatever, who's going through it. what would you say to somebody like, who's a young adult today in recovery? Like, give them some advice, like what they're
It
sitting.
doesn't get better. Don't go back out. It gets worse and worse and worse. All the things when I got sober in my like 20s, it was like all the things people say, oh, you're going to go to jail and institutions and da da da. And I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. That's not going to apply to me. I'm a Jewish American princess from Beverly Hills. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And all that stuff happened. I got arrested. I was put in psych wards. You know what I mean? I had convulsions. I mean, it absolutely gets worse as you continue on. It doesn't get better. It will not change. Sure, there are like heroin addicts who can smoke pot or drink. Good for them. That's not in general what I've seen. And I'm starting to be more open that maybe abstinence is not the way for everybody, but for me, I've done enough experimentation that I am addicted to anything that makes me feel better or
Right.
different. All of it. Nicotine, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm into it. And so I've done that, but I mean, I think my parents, I'm an only child. They just were just like, but it's interesting. And I'm not a big proponent of tough love because I think that we already hate ourselves and we need support. And I think that it's really an illness. And I think that to sort of punish someone for what's primarily an illness is just awful, you
Right.
know?
I agree
But
with that, but sometimes for the family, it's just the tough love is just because it becomes like enough. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, well like I said, my
So,
parents took, oh absolutely, and my parents went to Al-Anon. They hated it. And my father said, created a saying that they still use in Ashland, Al-Anon. I remember calling up one time, and we're very manipulative as addicts. We know
yeah,
how to manipulate and get what we want and keep you on the hook. And it's, so you absolutely have to protect yourself. And I called him up, and I don't know what I wanted, money or whatever. And he just said, you used to be able to ruin my life, and now you can't ruin my lunch.
yeah.
And I remember going,
Wow.
oh, the gig's up. You know what I mean? I was just like, oops, like they're not going to play along. They're not buying into it anymore. And I mean, I had to lose everything to get sober. Everyone was just done. And it was like, I have to save myself. No one's going to fix this for me.
Right.
I mean,
That's it. That's what you have to come to. And some people never come to them. They're always blaming everything around them and other people. And it's
there's
really,
no power in that. There's no power in being the victim.
I know, but yeah, a lot of people just feel they're the victim. Listen, I was in Al-Anon. I used to go to Al-Anon for a while. Some of my best friends today I met in Al-Anon. Some amazing people, but I was just very lucky that I connected with them. But, I remember this tough love, and I remember throwing Isaac out the
Oh,
time. And my family did not get it. They were not happy with me. They were ready to take him in, and I was calling them up and saying, don't take him in. Like, this is what it was recommended that I do, throw him out. And you know what? If God forbid something had happened to him when I threw him out,
right.
I would have been, I would
Yeah, my parents
not
were
be
terrified.
like this today. Believe me, I would
Yeah,
be lying in bed somewhere.
right,
Uh,
right.
so I don't
My
know.
parents were terrified. They were terrified to cut me off. They were terrified they were like, she's going to become a drug dealer or she's going to be a prostitute or like what? I mean, they didn't know. And it's like, but ironically, it was when they actually ran out of money and my ex left me penniless in a psych ward that I kind of, when I was on a chain gang arrested for felony domestic violence, sweeping trash on the streets, in a sober living at 42 years old, and I just went, and I had that epiphany and I went, wait a minute, it's me. Like, this could be the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I need to reframe and like really change the way that I'm behaving in the world and change the way that I see myself and really just everything. I need a full overhaul. I need a glow up from the inside, girl. I'm watching way too many drag shows, obviously.
But you did it. But you did it, and you're here today to tell the story. I mean, that you couldn't make that up. what you just said, 42 years old and sober living and picking up trash outside after like when you were 20 years old, could you ever have written that story? Would you have ever?
No, and I never thought that stuff would happen to me. And I think that that's the sort of, you know, when you're young, you think you're immortal, you think things aren't going to happen to you. You know what I mean? That stuff happens to other people.
Right.
You
Yep.
know, all
Yes.
that kind of stuff. And I think that, you know, there's a saying in program, you know, yet you're eligible too. And if you keep going, all that stuff happens.
Right.
And so, I mean, everything that I thought would never happen to me happened to me. And what it created for me is an enormous amount of compassion.
Right.
All my entitlement, sort of snobbery, was stripped away, because you too can be that homeless person. You can be that prostitute. You can be that, you know what I mean? Like, under the right or wrong circumstances, you know. I mean, I'd never been arrested. And then I was arrested for felony domestic violence. I was like, oh, I never even had a speeding ticket,
Right.
you know? And it was a wake up call. It's like, oh, it's not everyone else, honey. It's you, you know?
Right. Well, listen, for me, obviously a very different story, but I can't believe that I lost a son to an overdose. Like, from my upbringing, you know, the way I brought up my kids, like I could never have imagined I would be that person, you know, that I would be doing this today. It just didn't make any sense, but that is life. And you're right about being compassionate. I mean, I have
Yeah.
lost all judgment, honestly.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
all, that's a lie. That's a lie. I wish. I wish. That's
You're
a lie.
judging my hair. I can feel it.
But a lot of it. No, I'm not judging. Your hair looks fabulous. No, but I mean, I really, you know, we have so many people. We have all these young, you know, adults who come to our events and who have become like family to us, to me. And they come in. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they're dressed, where they come from, where they live.
Absolutely.
I could care less. They are Isaac. They are just like Isaac. The
Absolutely.
same thing he's going through,
But
no
what a
matter.
gift. That's incredible. That's like such evolutionary, enlightened stuff, to see that we're all connected, we're all the same. I mean, it's awful that that's what took you to get there, and for me too. But I
Yep,
mean,
yep,
I have friends that have been in prison. I have friends, it's like, I mean, if you had the same upbringing, and the same biology as a serial killer, guess what you would be? A serial killer.
yeah, right. Yep, true.
And I mean, don't blame yourself. I mean, I really believe that a huge part of this is genetic. I really do. We don't really know. That's the problem. We
Yeah,
don't know. Science hasn't caught up. I mean, sure, there was some trauma in my upbringing and all that kind of stuff, but there are plenty of people who have much more traumatic upbringings than me and never become drug
right.
addicts.
Yeah,
There was something, and there are people who do cocaine and don't get addicted. I mean, it's like, for me, when I picked up, something inside me shifted. I
yeah,
could feel it. Like a vacuum opened up, and it was like, oh my God. I was like, it was the thing that I'd been looking for my whole life, to feel normal. And no one was going to take that away from me.
right.
You know what I mean? I
Right. Well,
wanted to feel normal.
I remember going like for family week when Isaac was in treatment, and all these parents were asking the question of like, but why? But why did he do it? Why is he doing
Oh,
it? And they said, why? If you ask them why, they'll say, because it feels good.
yeah.
That's the answer. Don't ask why. They were like, don't ask that question why. Take that out of your vocabulary.
Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? The why doesn't matter. It's like, what do we do from here?
Right. So I want to discuss this Saturday Night Live skit with you a little bit. I don't know how many people out there have seen it. I don't really want to share it because I don't really,
I agree with you. I
I
agree
don't
with
want
you.
to share it, but I want people to know about it because it was so upsetting to me. And I know you felt the same way. So
Yeah.
it was called Let Kids Drink. And first of all, they made the song it was playing in my head over and over. I was singing it.
It was catchy.
This
Caught
cat
you.
couldn't stop singing it, which was really disturbing.
That's what
And
they
it's like
want.
they were basically saying that for parents, you know what, being at home with their kids
Of
is
course.
leading them to drink. And then they showed all these little kids who
Mm.
must be the children of the Saturday Night Live
I don't even
players,
know.
because it's
I
in
don't
their
know.
homes with bottles of beer and wine and smoking joints, and
Yeah, it creeped me out. It creeped me out.
it bothered me a lot. And I feel like, for so many people today who are like struggling with their sobriety, they're sitting at home and everybody's glorifying drinking. by having, cocktail hour, everybody, we could start drinking at noon
Well,
today.
everyone's like, yeah, day drinking. It's like hi or morning drinking. It's like that's what I was doing at the end of my using was like drinking in the morning. Like that's alcoholism. Hi. I mean, I just also, when I saw that too, I remember hearing stories of people where they were like, I had my first drink at 7, that kind of stuff. And I remember liking the way it felt, or I felt like I could breathe. And I just thought, and besides the fact that it's just completely, we're in a crisis. I mean, alcohol sales have boomed during the quarantine. But it's like, not only is it just like completely inappropriate, it wasn't even funny. Like
No,
as an ex-comic, like it was like if you're gonna, that's the thing I learned as a comic. It's like if you're gonna make jokes about stuff that's like real, like suicide or whatever, like it better be so funny.
right.
But it was like this was, if you're gonna really push the boundaries and be irreverent and on PC, it better be hilarious.
Right. It was horrible.
And
And
this was,
but
and it
Ivana,
wasn't funny at all. It was just offensive and stupid.
right, Ivana just said, and they were making the kids sing it. So the
Yeah.
kids are walking around. They don't get that this is just a joke. I mean, they don't, maybe they do, but, not
I,
really.
I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was funny because I think there's a real crisis happening. What
Yep.
I see with my friends who are sober, I see a lot of people relapsing. I see a lot of mental illness
Yep.
cropping up. I think there's a lot. We're going to see a crisis within the crisis, which is a mental health and addiction crisis. That's coming up within this, and it's like the isolation, the financial insecurity, the fear. It's the perfect storm. And so I think the timing is no bueno. You know what I mean?
100% agree. I mean, I was so upset by it. I don't know what I want to do something about it. I just want, but I'm not sure exactly how to do that. What to do because I don't really want to put it out there so that more people see it. But in a way, maybe because it was just disturbing to see that Saturday Night Live would make such a joke. I understand, we all need to laugh today, but like you said, it wasn't really funny. I'm
No.
just going to put it out there if anybody has any questions for Amy to just, throw them up here. There might have been some that I missed, before. Um, oh, with Ivana's just been posting a lot of stuff here. Um, let's see if there are anybody ask any questions. Hold on. Um, anyway, we'll see if anybody asks questions. We could just keep talking. Um, so yeah. So anyway, there are so many. We have people who have been coming to our events, consistently, like for a year, who said it saved my life. I mean, it just saved my life.
So
Coming to
great.
these events. Yeah, and then now we're
Right.
like not hearing from them. We don't know where they are. I mean,
Uh,
it's definitely
well, community is everything. We need the community. And like, again, I hate to be like a science geek, but like, when you connect with other people and you don't feel less than, your dopamine rises, and that's a big part of it. Connection is so important. And it's like Zoom meetings are great, but it's not the same. And I'm a very touchy person and like to really like impede on people's personal boundaries and like and hug them and hold their hand and like, so to me Zoom meetings just, it's just not the same. And the
it's
Zoom
important.
bombing is just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's a whole other horrible aspect. But
There's a
I
here. Hold on. Has a
hmm?
belief in a higher power had any impact in your recovery process? This comes from James.
uh that's a tricky question because I mean, I definitely feel like I'm lucky to be alive. The universe has had my back and I've landed on my feet. I'm hesitant to, I think that a lot of when you break down, um, for me, it was contrary action over and over and over again, where I created a new neural pathway in my brain that became my default mechanism. And so, that was that. But I am hesitant to say, oh, God removed my alcoholism or saved me, because then what about other people who died? Like he doesn't give a shit about those people. Like I just think that it's a very weird, righteous kind of thing to do.
Well, higher
So
power doesn't have to mean God, right?
no, but I feel like you did the work. I did the work. I did the work. I went to meetings. I had a sponsor, and not that A is the only way, but I mean, I acted like the person I wanted to be until I became that person. And that's contrary action. That's bidirectionality. That's neuroscience. And that's really what has to happen. You know,
Right.
if you're waiting for your feelings to change before you get sober, before you take action, before you write a book, before you exercise, good luck with that. What I learned finally after 20 years was taking the action changed my feelings. And as addicts, we're very much run by our feelings. So, you know,
Got it. Okay. Yvonne is asking, is there anything we can say to people we see drinking every single day, all day, and making cute posts about it, or is it just a waste of time?
I know that really bothers the sober community, all the sort of drinking memes and the, you know, there was like all, you know, mommy memes and drinking, and it's gotten much worse during the quarantine and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't,
Do you think it's
you
worth
can
saying?
drink, you can drink every day and not be an alcoholic. It's not my father can, you know, my father was a heavy drinker and then he could stop on a dime. So
Right.
I'm not an expert on it, and it's not really my place, I think, to, you know, get into other people's lives and say, you know, you shouldn't be doing that, or that's wrong, or whatever. I
Right.
mean, and for me, when people would call me out on my stuff, I just made me really defensive.
Right. So it's not worth it, basically, to
I
say.
don't think so. I don't want to fight with someone, and I
Sure.
don't think that everyone needs to be abstinent or everyone needs to be sober. And if it's not, you know, again, it's not how much you're drinking, it's how it's affecting your life. Like, I became a monster. It changed my personality, and I wasn't able to function at all. So, I mean, I really try and stay out of that
Okay.
judgment of other people.
What is one piece of advice you can give during so much isolation to stay sober?
Oh, God, this is such a tough time. Staying connected, you know, in any way, calling people, hey, I'm thinking about you. You doing okay? Zoom meetings, you know, exercise, taking a walk, you know, finding the small things to be grateful for, that you're not ill right now, blah, 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 blah. Um, I think that, you know, knowing that this is going to pass, who knows when, but eventually it will pass, and drinking is not going to help it, and you're just going to have to get sober again. And I've done it so many times, and it's so much easier to stay sober than it is to get sober. So I mean,
I
even for
like
me,
that.
this
That's
is,
true.
yeah, it's been really difficult. I mean, I had a using dream. I haven't had a using dream in years.
Mm,
I think that for a lot of people, it's very triggering to be in their house, because that's where the end of their using was by themselves using or drinking.
right.
And also for depression, like just being in the house, being depressed. And so it's very, very difficult. You know, I think that, again, you know, we have to turn to virtual events right now.
Right. Is there any
And
advice you can give a parent dealing with an addicted child?
go for it. It's you. That's all you. That's all you, Eve. I don't have any children.
Any advice I
Colonel
can
Puff
give?
Puff. That's
Well, I think one thing is to reach out to other parents who are going through the same thing, because when you realize that you're not alone, it definitely helps. Because I
yeah.
know for me, like when I did go to Al-Anon meetings, I would actually listen to all the stories. You know how they say if you all put your problems in the middle of the room, at the end of the day, you would take your problems and not anybody else's. And that's how I felt when I went to Al-Anon meetings. I would be like, oh my God, thank God Isaac's my son, because he's never been violent, he never got a DUI,
Right.
he's never been in jail, so I would walk I'd walk out of there feeling better, hearing that other people were going through similar things. And there's I wish there was like advice that I can say. I wish, like I said, one size fits all, that I could say, here's the magic pill, give your child this
Of
and they will
course,
be
there
fine.
isn't. And
And it's
everyone's situation's different.
exactly.
That's really what I've learned
Yeah.
in, you know, having been through so many treatment centers and having struggled so much and having met so many other alcoholics and addicts. Like, you know, there are people that come in with severe mental illness
Yeah.
or come in with like horrible sexual trauma or what, or different, or PTSD or whatever. And it's like they need different type of treatment.
Sure.
There's not a one size fits all. You know what I mean?
Sadly, it would be nice if we could
Oh, it would be
find that.
great. And I mean, I think that people, I think people want that, but I think it's more complicated because we're all complex human beings. And I think that people
Exactly.
come in with different stuff.
And what are some of the things, somebody asked, what are some of the things that you do that helps you when you get stressed out, depressed, and anxious?
I nap. I mean, I don't know if that's a cop out, but I mean,
You
I'll be
what? You
honest.
nap?
Yeah.
Oh, napping? Okay, that's
You
good.
know, I take a nap. I mean, honestly, I just feel like, my head gets like cuckoo, I just go, okay, nap time. And I just like unplug my phone and just, it's like a restart, like a rebooting of your computer. And I wake up and I feel better. And it's just like, that's my timeout.
Okay.
And it works for me. It really works for me. It's like, again, exercise. I've not been good about it. I mean, that's the thing with addicts and alcoholics. We're either doing it every day, like meditation, like I'm like working out every day and meditating, we're on it, or else we don't do it at all, where there's no moderation, you
Right.
know?
Right. It's all or nothing. Listen, for me, I'd like to meditate and I try, but it's not really my thing. When I'm like, I wake up stressed out every day. That's just like who I am. I wake up stressed out and I work out. And that is it, whether it's a half hour or whatever it is, I do some yoga, I do something for me
Yeah.
that I know nobody was asking me this question, but I'm saying it anyway. That's really, for me, that's like my happy place is going to the gym and sweating and just like, and that, it truthfully for, I
Now, the
used to think it was
gym,
great.
really?
Huh?
The gym now?
Well, I
There's
mean,
no.
whatever. It doesn't have to be a physical gym, but I'm saying working out online, doing a
Well,
yoga class.
yeah, it changes your whole, just you get out some of that aggro, you get endorphins, all that kind of stuff. And for me, a big thing is being of service. I mean, that's really, I mean, as someone who was extraordinarily selfish for years and years and years, service, and I can get burnt out on it for sure. I have to make sure that balance where I'm just like not feeling like I'm just like feeding people, and I've got to recharge my own battery. But being of service makes me feel like I have something to give to the world. It gets me out of out of my thoughts and my feelings, makes me feel better, all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, again, you get a helper's high. I hate to be all sciencey again, but it actually does change your brain chemistry when you help people. The universe wasn't stupid
Yep,
when it created. It was like, hey, well, if we don't have these people help each other, they're all going to die. They need to cooperate. So we're going to give them a little rush when they help other people.
I agree. I mean, we're a nonprofit, so somebody who's in that world once taught me that when you're asking people, I was like, I can't ask people for money. I just don't know how to do it. And she said, you're doing them a favor. Think of it as you're giving them the opportunity to do something good. And it feels good when you do something good and you help other
Oh
people.
yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. Giving, you think we always think receiving is the good part, but it's giving that's the good part.
Yep,
That's what's ironic. It's like that took me a long time to figure out. It was that the giving was where the happiness was.
yep.
You know, Even if it's a compliment, when someone can't take a compliment, you're like robbing me of the chance to give you a gift. You look
So
beautiful today. Never, oh no, I don't. It's just say thank you.
I always say that to people, just say thank you, but I never think of it that way. It's true. You're like robbing that person of that something that
Yeah,
makes them feel good by saying, you look beautiful today, or you did a
yeah,
great job, or whatever. We have
yeah.
to
And then
all
you go,
learn
oh
to
no, no,
accept
no, no, and
compliments.
it's like, oh, it's like so.
We have a lot of people reacting to your helper's high and giving back. I think a lot of service makes it not about me for a moment. I think
Yeah, you get out of your head I mean, I think for us, our head is the worst place. And, I find myself, especially during the quarantine, really kind of can really spiral out,
right.
in terms of fear or monetary fear or my parents or being lonely or, just like flipping out and going down some rabbit hole on Google and searching for something, and then I just have to go, oh my god, I've got my roommates here, and he's like, enough, and he just closes the computer, and he's just like, stop, and I
Oh
was like,
God.
okay, let's go for a walk. Like, put your mask on. We're going for a walk.
Right. Somebody said, Amy, you were of service today, providing support to us. Thank you.
Aww.
Yes.
Thank you.
Getting into action for others helps with anxiety. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because again, you know, you got to get out of your head, whether that's through meditation or exercise or helping other people. I mean, one of the big things that helped me get sober was finding a purpose. I didn't ever have a purpose.
Right.
And I think that we need to have a purpose in our lives, whatever that is. And that helped me care about something besides just temporarily alleviating my pain or feeling good. I had a goal, I had a purpose, you know, and
Yeah.
that helped me.
Of course. Somebody's asking, do you journal regularly?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No. When you're a writer for money, like the last thing you want to do is journal. Like when you're writing articles for magazines, like the last thing no, I do not journal.
Now you
I do
can't
not
take
journal.
journals and turn it into something else. If you
I
had,
have written, yeah, well, a lot of the book I had been chronicling as it was happening. So I didn't have to make up the dialogue. I had it written down. But that, you know, so yeah, I used to journal. Journal as a verb is so funny to me. But yeah, it's like, no, I
right.
don't really, and I haven't been great about writing during this period. It's been a lot of talks and a lot of, you know,
There will be a lot written about this time. I keep thinking, what it's going to be like, 10, 20 years from now, how this is going to be in the history books. How my grandchildren will be reading about, Corona 2019.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I have to be in a certain place to write. I have to be either inspired, which is not what, you know, being a real writer is, but I also I have to be a little bit miserable, like, or really angry about something. Like if I'm too happy, then I don't write, but when I'm not writing, I don't feel good about myself.
Yeah, I hear that. So I want to give a little plug for what we have coming up Memorial Day, because we were just talking about
Woo!
it yesterday. So we're planning a Memorial Day dance party, which,
Yes.
yeah.
I don't dance, but I'm
Oh, come
excited for
on.
people to dance. No, oh God, I told you, I'm very uncoordinated. No.
You don't have to be coordinated. This is not that kind of dance. This is, like you said, dancing with your like plant in your living room. Who cares? You're the one who said that, didn't you?
No, I saw it on my friend's gay dance party. It was, you know, like some guy. There were people are just like in their house, and one guy was like dancing with his plant. My roommate put his like chair on his head and danced. I mean, everyone was just grabbing whatever they had. It was just like
Exactly.
was
Who
so
cares?
it was so moving because it was so sort of pure and childlike, and everyone just
Right.
and also sort of a little bit like asylumish. You know what I mean?
There. You know what? Listen, Memorial Day is going to come. It's in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. And it's just, we have a DJ June, who's a great DJ, and we're going to have
So
Chris from
great.
Hands Bar, and I don't know who else is going to join us, but anybody from anywhere in the country could join. And it's just going to be an hour, hour and a half. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. Plus, we
I
have,
think it's so important. I think those kind of holidays that are big drinking holidays are really hard for sober people and especially newly sober people. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I
sure.
think, you know, and it's like, okay, what are people normally doing? They're like barbecuing and like going to parties. And so it's like, so now how do we create community, you know, online? I mean, this virtual community. So it's like, I think a dance party is going to be awesome
It will be a lot of
and
fun.
important.
We have lots of other things tonight. We have knitting. Amy, you should learn how to knit.
Oh, get out of here, man.
Seriously, it's so. I'll
What,
tell
so
you.
I can knit a sweater for Colonel Puff Puff? Come on,
Not
man.
a sweater.
Knitting?
I'm knitting a blanket. I'm actually knitting a blanket to throw on my couch here, and it's just so cathartic. It's therapeutic. It takes your mind out of everything else, and you actually make something that is beautiful and usable. You can give it as a gift, keep it, whatever. I've been doing it since I'm a little kid, but we've been teaching it now
Mm,
for like 4 or 5 years,
that's
and
cool.
it's awesome. And we do
I
it
see people knitting in meetings. My mom used to crochet a lot when I was young. So,
crocheting, knitting, whatever it is. I'm telling you, it's
yeah.
cool. If you want to join us, anyway, we do it on Tuesday nights, which is tonight, and then we have lots of other cool stuff coming up. So,
Zachary says that Cheryl's trying to get him to knit.
oh no, you don't understand. When we do knitting in our office, we have more guys than girls.
No way.
Yes, I will send you a picture. If you saw the guys that come
I
to,
want a husband who knits. I want a boyfriend who knits.
yeah, my husband won't learn how to knit, but if he won't, for whatever reason he won't. He figures I'm knitting. He doesn't need to knit. We don't need to do everything together. By the way, today is my 7-year anniversary. Just throwing it out there.
Congratulations.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
wonderful.
Yes, I finally got it right. Um,
Yay.
yes.
Gives me
Anyway,
hope.
but he's not going to learn to knit. But we do
That's
have.
okay.
We've brought a lot of new knitters into the world, and it's cool. And you should try it one day. Just saying.
All right, Mom.
Anything else that you want to? Any words of wisdom? Anything you want to say? You want to give a plug for your book? Want me to show the cover again? You should
Sure,
buy
show
the
the
book.
cover again. Yeah,
Fantastic.
I wrote the most honest book I could. I just really, it's really no holds barred. I just feel like if you're trying to look good in an addiction memoir, you're just not being honest enough. I wrote the book to help people, and it doesn't make me look good, and I don't really care about that. I mean, I've made jokes like I haven't had a date since the book came out, but I've helped people. Who cares if I die alone?
Right.
Um, uh, it's very honest, and I think that people need to know that they're not alone and that they're not broken, and they don't need to feel ashamed of things, that they're not alone in whatever the darkest, gnarliest thing that they've done. And I talk about sex addiction, I talk about drug addiction, I talk about uh, my time in the chain gang. I talk about, going to jail. I talk about my epiphany. I talk about things that I learned. I talk about all my times in sober living and taking care of a baby and how that changed me. And yeah, people, and it's funny, and that's rare. It's rare for a really, really gnarly drug addiction memoir to be funny.
Oh,
But
doesn't want to
but for
forget
me, that was the way that I got through. I had to find humor to get through.
my
It's
fair junkie.
backwards.
It is? Oh, well, my fair junkie. It, it's a great read, and
Did
it's.
you laugh? Tell me you laughed.
I laughed.
Okay.
I read it. It took me like 2 nights to read. I read it very quickly. It was such a. I mean, it was such
Yeah,
a.
I kept it going. I wanted to make sure I kept it going. I didn't want to be self-indulgent and boring, and I wanted to keep it going. And I wrote it to help, the parents and friends and sisters and brothers of addicts understand what it's like to be an addict, like in our bodies and in our brains. And that's why it's written in present tense, which was so hard. And I'll never do that again, I hope. But also, like, and I also wrote, like I said, to help other people go, oh God, I'm not alone.
Right,
Oh, I don't have to feel, oh my God, I'm laughing at something I've never told anyone,
right.
you
Yes,
know? And people think I was kind of an asshole at the beginning, but it's like I was mentally ill and a drug addict. Who's not when they are? Like I'm not writing it to look terrific. I'm writing the truth. And then also, where is the arc? Where do you go if you can't change? I want, it's redemption. We can change. We can get better. And that's important. I'm not the person I was then.
right. And good. You know what? Good for you.
Thank God, right?
I
Yeah,
want to
right.
say to
Safer for the
you,
whole world.
I want to say, even though like we don't know each other that long, and I'm not your mother, but I really am proud of you from
Thank
reading
you.
that book and then like knowing you now and seeing where you've come and how.
Thank you.
I think it's amazing, and
Thank you.
that's all.
Oh, thanks,
And
Eve.
thank you for just saying thank you.
Right? Letting you have the gift.
All right. So
No, I mean, I just that to me, it's surprising what's happened and where my life has gone from. I took this thing that was the worst thing that happened to me, and I made it into something helpful to other people. And I don't know. That's kind of alchemy, in my opinion.
yeah. Yep.
Taking poo and making it into gold. Like it's just like so. I think that that's the whole thing, which is the art part of it, and also the humor, and knowing that whatever you've been through, you can help someone else with that story.
Yes.
You are an example, and you can help someone else with your experience, and that makes it worthwhile. And as my father said, it's the Jewish, I hate to get Jewy here, but tikkun olam, like heal the world.
Heal the world. Exactly. Well, we're doing it.
So
We're doing it one person at a time. And thank you,
I'm
Amy.
so proud of what you're doing. It's
Thank
amazing,
you.
and I'm so so honored to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you to Amy and Ivana for making the intro, and look forward to seeing you all Memorial Day or before that. And that's it. Thank you so much, Amy, and have a beautiful rest
You
of your
too.
day.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.